4 p.m. It is September 17, 2023. I am officially going to be calling this meeting of the LPF Executive Committee to order here, and we will get on with roll call when you are ready. Mr. Appler, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Josh Lavka.
Present.
Tim Crosby.
Here.
Edward Appler, present. Patrick Fleischner.
Present.
Robert Vinson. Hector Roos.
I'm here.
Lee Koritzer.
Present.
Matt Rice.
Here.
Joey Ferguson.
Here.
Leon Armstrong. Rachel Danner.
Here.
Andrew Parrott. Matt Johnson.
Here.
Drake Quinn.
Present.
Dennis Missigoy. Adam Whitworth.
Present.
Mike Rufo. John Pfaff.
Here.
Yana Cosma.
Here.
Lisa Gansky.
Here.
I'm counting 15 present for quorum.
All right, so we have quorum. Thank you, Mr. Appler. Next item on the agenda is public comment here. We're going to give about 10 minutes for any public comment. So that's any non-executive committee members. Is there anybody not on the executive committee in the gallery looking to be recognized? All right, I'm not seeing anybody who is not a committee chair or an executive committee member in the gallery. So we are going to just move this on along then in that case. So next item on the agenda is item 5, which is the approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
All right, moved by Mr. Koritzer. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, Mr. Quinn seconds. Is there any discussion on the current agenda?
Yes, Mr. Chair. I'd like to amend the agenda.
Go ahead, Mr. Crosby.
As per usual, I would like to amend the agenda to exclude all reports from those who have already submitted. So the only remaining reports, or verbal reports rather, will be from DAO 1, Region Rep 3, Region Rep 11, affiliate support, and legislative action.
All right, thank you, Mr. Crosby. Is there a second on that amendment?
I'll second.
All right, Mr. Johnson second. Is there any discussion on this amendment? Hearing no discussion, I'll ask, is there any objection to this amendment? All right, I'm hearing no objection. I'm going to say that there was unanimous consent on striking all but those mentioned reports from the agenda. So we will only be hearing from, once again, guys, Director at Large 1, Region Rep 4, Region Rep 11, Affiliate Support Committee, and Legislative Action Committee. So is there any further amendments to the agenda? All right, hearing none. Just do a simple voice vote. All those in favor of approving the agenda as amended, please say aye.
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 All opposed, please say nay. All right, agenda is approved, it sounds like, and congratulations, we have an agenda now. So moving along to the next item on the recently approved agenda is approval of LPFEC meeting minutes for August 20th, 2023. Is there someone looking to move those meeting minutes?
So moved.
All right, Mr. Koritzer once again moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Once again by Mr. Quinn with the second there. Is there any discussion on the meeting minutes? All right, hearing none. Is there any objection to the meeting minutes being approved? All right, hearing no objection, I will say that these minutes are approved, and congratulations, we've approved the meeting minutes for August 20th here. Moving along with the agenda here, next is item 7, which is the LNC report, which is Mr. Benner or Mr. Cowan. Martin, I see you're on the call tonight. I appreciate you being on as usual here. When you're ready, sir, you may have the floor. Go ahead with your report.
All right, thank you, as I always say, for allowing me to be your alternate representative in Region 2. The last time you had a meeting and I wasn't here, I was in DC with the LNC and I was having dinner with Stephen and Nikayla. We had a very nice time, a very collegial group. I'm very happy that in person, we get along really well. Sometimes on the email line, we don't do as well. But in person, we universally are very collegial and have a good time together. Our next meeting is going to be in Orange County, California, where Disneyland is. And we're going to fly out there in December. I haven't been to California in 30 years, so I'm kind of looking forward to going there. Fortunately, I don't think we'll be going into LA, and so we won't be having that unpleasantness. There is a financial report that our treasurer put out, but it only goes through the end of June. We are behind on these reports, and one of the reasons we are behind is that we've employed some service people. Like, for example, we're using Paycheck now to pay our employees, and we've hired accountants are us firm. I don't remember the name of them, but they're helping us create all these reports. And so, while we're timely with our FEC reports, which there's no excuse there, you can't fail to be on time with that. We are behind on our quarter or our monthly reports in terms of our finances. This is available publicly, and the only thing I want to mention to you is that we have at the LNC $273,499, which is a lot of money, and which is more than we need. Well, I shouldn't say that. It's a lot of money. We're in good financial shape in terms of the money. We are, as a group, the LNC as a group, disappointed in the receipts that we had in the month of June. It was way down from what it should be. And part of the reason for that is turnover in the staff, and because we haven't been doing the job we should be doing. And though we're making a major effort to turn all that around, and so I fully expect that all that will be turned around. But that said, going back to the former thing, we do have a bunch of money way ahead of where we have been in terms of $273,000 is ahead of where we have been. So we're in good financial state, aside from the fact that we need to improve our fundraising. I think our main goal in the LNC these days is to put together a great convention for May in December, and that's why we were in December last month in DC last month to check everything out, and that was very helpful because we learned a lot of things about the location and what we need to do to make sure we have a great, absolutely great convention. Again, thank you for allowing me to serve. I look forward to seeing you again next month. If anybody has any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. If you want this to be uploaded to a server, I'd be happy to send the financial report so you all can look at it. It's 15 pages long. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you, Martin. Is there any questions for Mr. Cowan at all from the executive committee? All right, hearing and seeing no hands or voices going out. Hector, getting in there late. Go ahead, Mr. Roos.
Sorry, I thought I had unmuted. Just a quick question, Mr. Cowan. Have you heard anything regarding the recent membership report that came out, and a request from this state in regards to additional members that weren't counted in that report?
No, I haven't heard that. I do know that our membership is down. Part of the report here shows a steady decline from a high point. I guess in July 22, the numbers were over 16,000, and now the numbers are just over 13,000. So we have had a steady decline in sustaining members, which is an unhappy circumstance. But we're working on all those things, and hopefully we'll get it turned around.
Okay,
That's all.
I appreciate that. Just I wanted to point out that part of our question was that we had counted members that are sustaining members of the LNC from Florida, over 1,500 of them versus what's reflected in the report in this area. So
Are you
just
saying
looking
that
for
your
clarification.
count is different from our count? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, correct.
And I guess
We've
ours
been
is lower than yours.
detailed about it.
I'm not aware of the issue, so I'm now aware
Yes,
of the
exactly.
issues. And okay, well, I'll ask the boss about that. I thought about Dave Benner. But yeah, I'll check that out, let you know.
No problem.
All right, thank you, Hector. Mr. Rufo, I see your hands up. Go ahead, sir.
Just on that question, I mean, there has been some major issues with Civi and the transfer over to all the new systems and all. So that may have a lot to do with it, Hector. As we're getting down to the nitty gritty here with trying to figure out delegate allocation, a lot of those things are getting figured out. And as the new reports come out, you should hopefully see much better and more accurate numbers. But whatever you have, if you want to send them, just send it again just to refresh it, and then we'll bring it up.
All right, thank you, Mr. Rufo. I'll make a point to try and forward that over to you and Mr. Cowan, so that way you're in the know. But I've already submitted the what we've discovered over here to the LNC as far as Miss McCardle and Miss Harlos is concerned. So Miss Harlos already gave me her confirmation that she's going to look into it. Miss McCardle also reached out to me to let me know that this is going to be taken very seriously. So for those of you not aware, there may or may not be some membership discrepancies as far as how many basic sustaining mortar or members of the LNC now reside within the state of Florida or not. So we're going to have it looked into. I don't think it's going to be anything super major, but I mean, we're talking a rather large discrepancy that could mean the difference between Florida becoming its own region or not. So, I mean, obviously with that kind of implications involved, we're going to want to make sure it's taken over and looked over thoroughly. So I have faith in the LNC and the membership on there to get that job done there. Is there anything else for Mr. Cowan though?
Josh, can you give me a raw number that's the difference? Is it 100 people? Is it 500 people?
Off the top of my head, I'd have to take a look, Mr. Cowan, but our numbers are showing almost 1,600 basic sustaining members in the state of Florida, which would mean it would be significantly over where California peaked last year in or last convention in 2022. So we'd be talking a difference of going from probably right now, we're showing about 51 delegates, and using some rough, Kentucky windage mathematics here, I would probably peg us at going up to almost 130, 135 delegates if that discrepancy is actually accurate.
Well, that's a big deal. I can see
that. That, like I said, Mr. Cowan, that could mean the difference between Florida, reforming with Region 2 with, one, if not several other states involved, or it could be in the difference of we could potentially have enough percentage to be our own region or form up with other affiliates to become a super region. So, I mean, there's a lot of implications here. Obviously us increasing our basic sustaining members means that they're going to have to more than likely come from other states. So that's going to affect other states. And as a member personally of this year's credentials committee, I'd like to get that worked out quickly so everybody can adjust. Because, if you're going in expecting to have 40 delegates and all of a sudden you have 32, that's a big difference on, what your membership may be able to plan for.
All right. Well, I'll start looking into that immediately, like tonight.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Cowan. Is there anything else for Mr. Cowan here? I don't want to. Gonna say, Martin, I appreciate your time here. I don't want to take up much more of your Sunday night with this topic, at least.
All good, all good. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
No, nope. Hearing no further questions, Mr. Cowan, thank you again for your time. I appreciate you coming on every month here with us and reporting back. Also want to thank you indirectly and, just thank the LNC for the opportunity to serve again on the credentials committee for this coming national convention. It was something I enjoyed back in 2022. Hopefully we won't see as many interesting challenges as we did in 2022 going into 2024, but I'm sure we're going to see some things along the way that'll be fun. So look forward to going through that experience and, seeing everybody in DC in, May of next year. So Martin, thank you again. I appreciate your time, appreciate your service on the LNC and what you're doing for Region 2 out here. And, just continue the good work, and hopefully I'll get to see you sooner rather than later in person.
Thank you.
No, thank you, sir. All right, guys. So always appreciate Mr. Cowan, Mr. Benner coming on, filling us in on what the LNC is doing on the whole. I know we have several LNC reps as well here on our ECs, but once again, it's always good to hear what they're doing within our region there. So moving along here on the agenda, back on orders of the day, we are on agenda item number 8, which is committee reports. Now, I believe we waived all the committee reports except for affiliate support and legislative action. The affiliate support committee chair is currently Christina Baxter. She is not on this call. Some of you may or may not be aware, but Ms. Baxter is looking to step down as chair. Going to be talking to her about a formal resignation coming up pretty soon, because I know she's expressed that interest. So I don't know if there is anybody on the affiliate support committee here who would like to be recognized just to speak on what's been going on with the committee, if anything. But if there is, I will entertain that individual at this time. All right. Seeing and hearing no one, we will move along. Legislative Action Committee is Mr. Vincent. I believe it was Mr. Leisner had said that Mr. Vincent was not able to attend tonight due to a personal obligation he had outside of the LPF. So Mr. Roos, I see your hands up. Would you like to speak on behalf of the LAC?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, Mr. Roos, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just very quickly, there is a preliminary meeting scheduled on Zoom at 5:30 on Wednesday to people who are interested in dealing with the legislative session that's coming up. So I will put that link in our Discord after this meeting. If anyone wants to join us, we're particularly focusing on Defend the Guard and trying to line up some sponsors for this session. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Roos. Appreciate that information. Definitely something we want to try and get on with those volunteers there. Anything for Legislative Action Committee from anybody on the EC, questions or whatnot? All right. Seeing none, we'll continue to move along here. Next item on the agenda would have been item 9, officer reports and comments. We have waived all of the officer reports, so that will move us along to item 10 on the agenda, which is director at large and regional reports. Now, we waived, when we amended the agenda, all of the at large and region reports except for at large 1, which we've already discussed. Mr. Vincent is not on the call, so we will move along with that there. Now, the other 2 we did not waive was the Region 4 report as well as the Region 11 report. Now, I do see Ms. Armstrong on the call. Ms. Armstrong, when you're ready, you have the floor to go ahead with your report.
Okay, sorry. I don't really have anything new to report. Just still been looking for volunteers. I do think I found a group of people out here that want to help me kind of get flyers out and try to get an event going. And then the other thing is still just searching a venue.
Awesome. Excellent, Ms. Armstrong. Appreciate the info there. Any questions for the Region 4 rep? All right, hearing and seeing no one there. Ms. Armstrong, thank you again. Appreciate your hard work out there. All right, next up is Region 11, Mr. Rufo. When you're ready, sir, go ahead. You have the floor.
Yeah, there's really nothing to report for Region 11. As many of you know, the LNC has been hyper active with a bunch of stuff going on the last month and a half. So that's been a lion's share of my focus, and there's nothing new to report.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Rufo. I've seen you guys have been very active in the LNC, and I hope that when you get a chance, you get to catch your breath, because you guys just have been running recently. So appreciate your commitment and service as well on the LNC. I don't want that to go unrecognized either. I see you out there doing a ton of work for them, so it doesn't go unappreciated or unnoticed from at least me out here. So once again, thank you for your service with them, and keep up the good work, and let everybody else on the LNC know I do appreciate their efforts and their work as well out there. So thank you again, Mr. Rufo. That will complete item 10 on the agenda here. Item 11 would be unfinished business, which we have none, so we can move along to item 12 on the agenda, which is election of a Region 3 representative here. I will, at this time, any nominations for a Region 3 representative here, if there is any. Going once, going twice. All right, we will call that. I'm hearing no nominations. We will move along. Once again, if there is anybody you know of that would be interested in filling in as the Region 3 representative, please let them know to attend the next EC meeting, and we can nominate them and elect them onto the EC and representing Region 3 out there. Moving along, item B item B is motion number 818, which is titled Northwest Florida Championship Rodeo Vendorship. The mover was Mr. Leisner. Do we have a second for this motion here?
Second.
All right, Mr. Quinn seconds. All right, so Mr. Leisner, would you like to speak on your motion before we go into discussion here, sir?
Sure, I'll just take a quick minute or two here. So how this came up is Mr. Boatwright, who resides in Holmes County and has attempted to put together a meetup already. We held one at his house last month, and he's also reached out about trying to get an affiliate started there. He's definitely put in a little bit of work to try to grow the party in his area here in Region 2, and this rodeo is one of the bigger events in the area all year long, so there's definitely going to be a ton of people there. He has told me that he has 4 volunteers committed to helping out at the vendor table. It's a total cost of $300. We're asking for 150, matching our 150 out of our personal pockets to go and represent the LPF. And if there's any questions about the event, I can try to answer them.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Leisner. Is there any discussion or questions on this motion here? Go ahead, Mr. Roos.
I just wanted to point out that I want to commend this motion and the mover. I think we want more regions to show this kind of initiative and ask us for this for these kind of participation from us. We want to see the big events be tabled that are reasonable in cost like this. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Roos. Is there anybody else looking to speak in favor or in opposition to this motion? Excuse me. All right. Hearing and seeing no further discussion here, guys, we're just going to do a quick voice vote here. Once again, this motion, if you vote in favor of it, would be in favor of covering the $150 cost that it would be needed to finish covering the expenditure for the tabling. A no vote would be against providing that $150 expenditure there. So once again, this is just a simple yes or no voice vote here. So all those in favor of approving this expenditure of $150, please say aye.
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 Hell yeah.
Aye. All opposed, please say no. Sounds like the ayes have it unanimously. Congratulations. Motion passes here. All right. So moving along, we will go on to item C here, which is motion number 819. This is a motion to approve migration to Nation Builder. The mover was Matthew Johnson on behalf of the Communications Committee. Because this motion was moved out of committee, it does not require a second. So we're going to move directly into discussion, guys. So before we get heavily into that, Mr. Johnson is the chair of the Communications Committee. Would you like to speak on behalf of your motion here? And then we'll get more into discussion, if you will.
Sure. So I know that just about every one of you, after reading the motion and the agreement, probably has sticker shock. I get that. And that's been the reason why I have hesitated so long to even make the motion, because that's a big ask. But I've been the Communications Committee chair for probably a year and I don't know, part of last term and so far, and this term as well. And one of the biggest frustrating things that I have found is that something simple that I can do on any other WordPress website I have ever managed, built, maintained, whatever, such as adding in a plugin to add Facebook scripts to the header of the website, or until recently, thanks to Tim Crosby, add new items to the navigation menu at the top of our website, to things such as creating a new donation form for a specific earmarked thing. All of these things require access, given our current situation that we have to get from National. And it's not even that they don't give us the access, it's they don't even have it. I found out this morning in a meeting that they really don't even know how broke CiviCRM is, because they don't know why they can't give us those permissions. Many of us have talked for at least the greater part of the last year that we need to do something to take back access to our website, to our CRM, to make us as a party, a state party, much more functional. I know Dr. Mejias with the membership committee has had issues with exporting reports or emailing from CiviCRM, given the way it's currently set up. Fundraising, I mean, everybody that has used what we currently have set up, to the best of my knowledge, has serious issues with it. Moving to Nation Builder, I've researched just about every other CRM out there that is worth using as a political party, from Salesforce to you name it. I mean, I even went to some lesser known ones, and Hector himself was gracious enough, as the candidates committee chair, because this has a lot to do with what he has going on in the committee too, to do a lot of legwork and ask a lot of questions. So I hope he's willing to explain on his behalf, what he was able to come up with as well. But ultimately, the Indiana Libertarian Party spent 13 grand upfront plus monthly service fees or whatever to basically purchase their own version of CiviCRM, and then a very short period of time later decided it was not worth it, and they themselves went directly with Nation Builder. I think that with Nation Builder, if we can implement it, two things can happen. We can implement it without ever losing our data, without ever losing our website that we currently have. It can be built alongside, and then when everything on the Nation Builder site is set up fully functional, then we basically just go in and we redirect the domain name to the new site, and we don't lose any downtime, we don't lose any functionality. We can download and upload straight from CiviCRM. this solves multiple problems. It is a much more intuitive CRM, easier to use. We also have full-on support from someone directly at Nation Builder that we don't currently have with Civi CRM. We have the ability to build out almost duplicate websites or whatever themes we want to use for any affiliate that comes on board, any affiliates we currently have, any potential candidates. We can offer them a website hosted on Nation Builder with access to the CRM and donation, fundraising, all of these tools as an extra incentive to run as a libertarian. And the reason I bring this up is these are the kind of tools that the Republicans and the Democrats use. This puts us on a level playing field with them from a communications and marketing standpoint. Again, I know that it's a huge ask. It's a huge thing up front. But I think in the end, if we can fundraise at least some of it, which you'll notice that was in the motion. Hector and I talked about this. We've talked about this quite extensively over the last several weeks. And I think if we can do that, I think this will be a huge step in the way of gaining membership, gaining fundraising potential, and as well as just competing in general with the RPOF and the Democrats.
All right, thank you, Mr. Johnson. I know there's going to be plenty of discussion here, guys, so we're going to just go in order as I see the hands go up there. So Mr. Koritzer, I saw yours first. After that, Mr. Leisner, you'll get your shot. So Mr. Koritzer, when you're ready, you have the floor, sir. Go ahead.
Thank you. I'm also a member of the audit committee. I'm the vice chair. The chairman isn't here today. We went over this contract, and I just want to point out a couple of items to the entire EC. First of all, we went into a discussion about half of the cost being raised through fundraising, as was mentioned, but it's not part of the motion itself. I would like to have that added, that we would not move forward unless we were able to raise that half prior to or within the time frame of the net 30 time period. I may make a motion in a moment to amend the motion to include that. The other part is we think it's a good idea. The audit committee discussed this. We felt it was a good idea to centralize, bring these things in. However, it'll only work and be cost effective if the individuals who are going to take ownership of it act upon it quickly. I know in the past we've passed and spent money on things that then fell to the wayside. This is a lot of money. So if we make this commitment, we need a commitment from communications and fundraising, etc., that they're going to quickly move forward and execute so that Nation Builder is up and running as quickly as possible. That was a major discussion within the audit committee. I do plan to support this, but I would like to make a motion to amend the existing motion that'll require that in order for us to move forward, at least half of the funding is raised through fundraising. That's
All
my
right. All right, Mr. Koritzer. So just to make sure I'm wording this correctly here for accuracy's sake here. So your amendment is looking to add a line to the motion itself that would state that we would not move forward with the contract until we fundraised at least half of the funds prior to the end of the net 30 time period.
Yes.
Mr. Chair.
All right.
That was me, Tim.
Yes, sir. Mr. Crosby, go ahead.
Clarification on that motion, because there's a lot of different numbers in that motion about monthly cost, total cost over 18 months, all these things. Can we just tie a specific number to the motion rather than half so that we all know what we're talking about?
All right. Well, the total is final total updated was looking like 21,240. So if we did half of that, Mr. Crosby, that would be 10,620. Now there hasn't been a second on this amendment. Mr. Kortzer, would you be amendable to, before we get a second, making that instead of half, making it an exact number of $10,620?
That's fine. I have no objection.
All right. So just to make sure everybody's understanding this, this amendment would add a line to the motion itself that would essentially add a clause that would state that we would not execute this contract until we had fundraised at least $10,620 prior to the end of the net 30 time period. Is there any questions?
There's no question, but there is a clarification, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Mr. Johnson. If you have a clarification, I'd definitely like to be in on that.
I have two clarifications. One, the pricing that is in that agreement expires on 9/19/23. In which case, to lock in that, okay, and that price is good until the 19th, which, if I'm not mistaken, is Tuesday. In which case we have net 30, as I understand the agreement, 30 days to pay the net balance for the 18 months. That's the first clarification. Secondly, Mr. Kortzer, my intention as communications chair is, should we move forward with this, 60 days no later than to have it fully implemented.
All right. Well, I appreciate the clarification, Mr. Johnson. That said, guys, we do have an amendment still on the floor requiring a second. Is there anybody looking to second this amendment to the motion?
Given the time frame, I'll withdraw my amendment.
Okay, Mr. Kortzer, thank you. I appreciate that. So the amendment's been withdrawn. We are back on discussion to the main motion, which is approving the Nation Builder contract. Mr. Leisner, you are next up here for discussion, so do apologize for the wait, but you have the floor, sir. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. I have a few questions here, and I don't know if it's best to go all at once so Matt can answer them if he needs reminding of them when he gives a response, or whoever gives a response, I can repeat. But this first one, will we be able to get the same terms or price at a later date if we don't execute this contract? I know that's subjective because there's no guarantees, but maybe whoever spoke to the Nation Builder rep could speak towards their thoughts on that. Second question is startup time. I know Matt said net 30, but does that mean we pay the full 18-month balance? Because reading the contract, it looks to me like we pay a monthly. So just want to clarify there. Third question was, what is a record and how many do we use per month now? I'm assuming that means like an email, but I'm not understanding the terms used in the contract. So if anyone knows that answer. And then the last question was, do we have a plan or any idea of how we're going to raise money to offset any of this costs in motion? If anyone could speak to that, I'd appreciate it as well. Thank you.
All right. So I would believe some of those questions Mr. Johnson would be able to answer. So Mr. Johnson, I'm going to defer to you on some of those. Anything you can answer, if you'd like to defer, just let me know.
Sure, I'll answer what I can, and then I will defer to Hector. Because he did, like I said, he did a lot of the back and forth after I had done the initial with the guys, because he did, he wanted to add extra text messages capabilities. He wanted to add extra Nation capabilities, AKA websites. So as I understand it, Patrick, with regards to the net 30, and this may be different based on this specific agreement, but typically, and then this is again based on my line of work, when we invoice a client, we always invoice them net 30, which typically means that the net balance of the specific invoice is due within 30 days of receiving the invoice. Now, it's possible that the contract reads differently, and if that's the case, then that's the situation here. As far as what constitutes a record, there are two different types, as I understand. A record constitutes a subscriber. So we're authorized, unless I can't remember, whatever it says as far as records, we're allowed, I think, 50,000 at the price point that we're at. And a subscriber is someone who is officially opted in to either receive emails or text messages. I think that's the number. Let me pull it up just to be sure.
That's how I read it. Yes.
Okay. So yeah, so that's what that is. Now, those are the people that we can have as opted in members that we can send unlimited emails to monthly, depending on who has the access to the actual dashboard to send emails, because there's several different levels of access in there, or SMS messages. And we have, with this agreement, we can send a total of 10,000 SMS or text messages each month as part of our plan. So that's something I didn't mention before, but that's something that we're currently spending money on, not necessarily every month, but anywhere you go, you have to pay per SMS to send text messages. This actually kind of includes it in the price. Same with the monthly emails. That's why MailChimp is listed as a current expense. But anyway, I digress. In addition to that, we can also, in our CRM through Nation Builder, have a list of every single LPF registered voter who is not already opted in to subscribe. And this will allow us to use it like a CRM and make notes and specify whether we've contacted them, whether we've, all of the things the CRM does, make notes and keep track of any actions that has happened on that account. And I think if I remember correctly, that's a total of over 100,000 total people. Does that help? And then what were your other, there was what, 2 more?
Yes, the other questions was related to, would we be able to get the same pricing at a later date if we delayed this contract? I know you mentioned this one was if we have to execute it by Wednesday. And then the last question was related to a plan in place to fundraise to offset it, if whether we execute it now or in the future.
Sure. So it is my understanding that that price point is not necessarily guaranteed post 9/19/23. Hector was the one that did have that direct conversation with Michael at Nation Builder regarding this specific agreement. So he might know better than I on that one. And again, since he's actually on the fundraising committee, I would defer that second question to him as well.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Mr. Roos, could you speak on whether or not we could get the same or a similar deal at a later date, and then what the fundraising committee's plan is to raise that $10,620 before the end of the net 30?
Yes, I can. And I wanted to clarify a few things, just first. One is there were 2 contracts. One was the one I requested with some changes that increased it higher, which just had more text message capabilities and more context. But the first contract was the one that we'd all really seen. The second contract is what ended up being on this agenda, and which would have been communicated in the price points to all the other committees that were involved. So on that point, let me see if I can. If we don't vote on this today and we just wait to raise money, we can just ask them. I don't foresee them saying no, but I also don't know. I mean, right? I didn't ask. As for just a quick clarification, what Indiana did was they spent $30,000 to just stay with Civi because they were already used to Civi and they've been using it for a couple of years. But that's so. The question is they found the city, the way it was run at national, to be unworkable, and that's my clarification. Now, in terms of fundraising, the reason why part of this conversation was in terms of a fundraising plan for fundraising for this is that there's 3 ways to fundraise for this, or a combination of the 3. There is find somebody to donate a bigger portion to it, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 for it, or all of it, or a combination thereof. We can increase our recurring donor donor numbers. The second part is, so we have, if we had another 38 of our recurring donors simply donate $25 more, we should be able to afford this without impacting our current revenue. And or we could just find another new 38 new recurring donors in the time period. Now, I want to point out that the reason why we even discovered the membership issue with the LNC out of the state of Florida being even, so this huge issues, is because fundraising has been looking at how many people out of Florida are donating money to the national party, and none of them are donating to the state party. So we're talking about, over 1,500 people are donating to national that are not donating to the state party, are not aware that we're here and we need some support too. So these are real numbers, and I feel confident that we can, by virtue of that number, we can get to our goal. I will say one thing though is that I do want to point out that in our committee, in our EC itself, only about half of us are or even less are actually recurring donors to the LPF. So I very much want to share, like the 7 out of 19 of us here are actually recurring donors. 11 out of 19 of us donate on a regular basis. So I really want, if this is something that we really want, I would appreciate if the board could chip in as to something like this. This is software that would be this software we need. It's not kind of optional, and the cost of waiting for nationals one day to tell us 2 weeks from now or 2 months from now that they're going to fix it is going to cost us a lot more in terms of what our welfare as a party here in the state. So I hope that answers the question. If I missed something, please let me know.
All right, thank you, Mr. Roos. Mr. Leisner, I hope that answered all of your questions to the best of their ability. All right, is there anybody else looking to discuss the motion at hand here? All right, Mr. Crosby, your hand's up. You have the floor, sir. Go ahead.
All right, this is more of a question for the treasurer to give us some insight on where we stand, because I know he has these numbers in front of him. The monthly cost on this versus how much money we're currently raising. And then a second part to that, of the money that we're currently raising, how much of that is already allocated to things not covered under this new program?
Mr. Leisner, would you like to address
Yeah,
those
sure.
two?
I didn't know if I was needed to be given permission or whatever. So yeah, I pulled our numbers, and I mean, this is by far my biggest concern, because I don't want to say my personal opinion since he didn't ask for it. So over the last 5 months, basically not factoring in the early part of the year where we had convention income and expenses, we've been averaging around, or exactly, $1,637.72 over the last 5 months in income. That's almost entirely recurring income. A few, individual donations here and there, but that's roughly what we bring in every month without any special events or convention going on. Based on this contract, it's showing as $1,180 a month. So that leaves us with roughly $457 to work with each month after paying for this, or roughly. So it amounts to roughly 72% of our recurring income, which to me seems pretty high. I will mention that, as noted in this motion, it does offset a number of costs that we are already paying for, so that reduces the hit a little bit. But from what I can tell, this would basically raise our recurring expenses up by roughly $500 a month. I'm sure we could get a more exact number if people want it, but maybe Hector could speak, or Matt could speak to that as well. But that was based on what I put together. So if anyone has any questions about the finances specifically, I'll try to answer them, but that's kind of where I was looking at.
All right, thank you, Mr. Leisner. Mr. Crosby, did that answer your question?
Yes, it did. I just want to, so to be clear, the money that we're talking about spending monthly here could be covered by current recurring expenses, albeit at a higher price than we're paying now.
Mr. Leisner, would you call that a statement accurate?
Could you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Yes. So the money that we are currently raising on a recurring basis would cover the monthly cost of Nation Builder, albeit at a higher percentage of the money we currently raise.
Correct. We are well over the amount, roughly $457 above the amount that it cost for just Nation Builder.
And
we do have other recurring
yes,
costs that we have to pay, or I mean, we don't have to, but
right. That was going to be my next question. How much of whatever's left over would be going towards those other expenses? Do you have that? I'm just trying to see with what kind of cash flow situation we're looking at if this were to pass.
Yes, I was trying to pull this up earlier. I just didn't really have a ton of time. But if you kind of look at just this month, for example, we're removing MailChimp, we're removing Basecamp, we're removing Linode, we're removing a couple of the server recurring costs as well. The addition, like the recurring costs we can't get rid of are the PayPal and Stripe fees, which amounts to about $64 a month. But that is also directly tied to our contributions. So more contributions that goes up, less contributions that goes down. And then we also, go ahead.
Sorry, would you say the number that Hector's posted is roughly about accurate? He says a $711.26 recurring income unencumbered.
So this is the amount that we have left over after we pay for
Nation Builder.
Nation Builder. Correct. I would not say that. No, I don't. So like I said, over the last 5 months, we've averaged 1637. If you average the whole year, it's much higher, but that's factoring in convention income. So I don't feel comfortable including those months in our calculation here. I would rather personally look at just months, like regular months, which is where we're between $1,600 and $1,700 5 months in a row. So I would say that's a more accurate number to use, which puts us at 457.
Okay, yeah, I don't want to waste any more time with this if other people have stuff. I just wanted to point out that whatever money we have left over is what we have to spend on things like the Bay County event and things like that. So unless we see substantial increases in fundraising, then some of our event capabilities might be hindered. But if we use the CRM, then obviously we could actually raise more money to offset those costs. So just something to think about. That's all.
All right, thank you, Mr. Crosby. Appreciate your input here. Mr. Rufo, I see your hands up. You have the floor, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have just a comment and then a question. My hope is that if we do this, obviously with Nation Builder theoretically being an easier CRM for setting up emails and email campaigns and doing everything, we would utilize that and be sending out, multiple fundraiser emails per week, preferably, maybe 2 or 3, to try and get an uptick in individual donations on top of reoccurring, which would hopefully have a dramatic impact immediately. Secondly, my other question is the way I just want to make sure I'm understanding this properly. We've got to shell out the full 21 grand in 30 days. Is that correct? And if so, where are we cash wise?
Go ahead, Mr. Leisner.
I can answer the cash question because I looked at that earlier as well. We are currently sitting at $53,878 in all of our accounts. That's pretty healthy over the last several years. It is down from the beginning of the year, roughly $6,000. So we are heading in the wrong direction, but at the same time, I don't think that's necessarily a problem. Like, it goes up and down depending on what we're spending money on. We just dished out a bunch of money this month for some convention expenses and also paying our annual subscription to Agility. So I think we're relatively healthy. If you look at it year over year, last year at 12/31, we were sitting at 61,000. And like I said, right now we're sitting at 53,000. So it's not terrible. The year before we were sitting at 57 at the end of 2021. And the year before that, we were all the way down at 16,000 in the bank. So between 2020 and now, we're actually over 3 times up. So we're sitting in a healthy position historically, but we're trending in the wrong direction, if that makes sense.
Okay, and I see in the comments, so I saw in the comments from Hector that we'd be paying, so this is a monthly, so our first monthly payment starts 30 days after the 19th.
That's correct. I'm looking at the agreement now, and that is exactly the way it's worded. It says September 30th, 2023, and monthly recurring through the term.
Okay, that's what I thought reading the contract, but everyone kept talking about full dollar amounts and net 30, and I just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Rufo. I appreciate you helping with that clarification as well, because I know I was a little bamboozled there myself. Mr. Ferguson, I see your hands up. You have the floor, sir. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I heard in discussions about this that say we're dissatisfied with the service or can't afford it or what have you. 6-8 months down the line, we decide to cancel this. There's a penalty of some sort, but I just want clarification on what the penalty was.
All right. So the question for Mr. Ferguson was, if we decide that the service from Nation Builder isn't adequate after a couple months down the road, what is the penalty to break this contract for us? If Mr. Roos or Mr. Johnson has any information on that, I'd be happy to hear that, because I'm not sure.
I'm going to have to defer that one to Hector, because that is not one that I actually asked. So, and I believe he did, but I'm not 100% sure.
All right, Mr. Roos.
It's at the bottom of the near the bottom of the contract terms. It says that we'd be liable for 75% of the balance.
All right, here. So I just want to read this on the record here, guys. Number 7 at the bottom of the contract under the customer acknowledgement and agreements. Number 7 is, should the customer desire to terminate use of the services prior to the end of the current term, quote unquote, early termination, customer will remain responsible for 85% of any total cost amount unpaid for that term at the time of early termination, due and payable no later than 30 days from the day that the customer notifies Nation Builder of early termination. Late charges at 1% interest per month will be imposed on any balances not paid after 30 days. Customer's account must be brought current before early termination under the terms of this clause can be exercised. So basically, if we decide to terminate it, we are responsible for 85% of the costs, and that 85% is due to them within 30 days. Otherwise, we could charge the 1% interest rate per month. So hopefully that answers the question in full there. $85% of the current month. Okay.
I see the question in the chat, and that's what it says. It says will remain responsible for 85% of any total cost amounts unpaid for that term at the time of early termination. So, Hector, did you clarify that? I don't know. Does that mean the current month, or 85% of the entire 18 months?
You know what? I don't have that email in front of me. I believe though it would refer to the entire contract amount. However, I don't see us having an option to what will we leave it to again, right? So we would just like whatever CRM or we would use, we would still be married to it, and we would be putting all the work into the integration again.
So I just don't see that even, I would see us rather carry it on for 18 months.
All right, Mr. Roos. All right. Is there any further discussion on that? I see a lot of discussion in the chat, guys. I know we've had this conversation before. The chat is not another form of discussion there, so let's keep that to a minimum. If anybody, does anybody have, oh, go ahead, Mr. Leisner. I'll give you your second bite at the apple there.
Hey, yeah, I just wanted to give my personal opinion now that kind of got some numbers and questions answered. I feel like this is something that we need to do if we're ever gonna, get the LPF moving in a direction where we're growing again. And I feel like we've stalled out the last couple of years. And I know Matt Johnson is capable of good things, and he's been really pushing for this. And I'm hopeful that if we do pass it, that he'll be able to really make some good things happen for us. I am, pretty concerned about the cost, but I do think we have the money. I just think people need to realize, like, this is a significant chunk of money, and take this vote seriously and understand that it's going to be upon a lot of us to help increase fundraising over the next several months to offset some of this cost if we do pass it. And that's really all I wanted to say.
All right, thank you, Mr. Leisner. Is there any further discussion on the motion here from anybody? All right, hearing and seeing none, guys. Just to reiterate what we're voting on here, this motion would be to approve a contract to go into an 18-month term to utilize the Nation Builder software. The overall cost of the contract over 18 months would be $21,240, which would be paid out over that 18-month term in monthly installments of $1,180, which would start 30 days, which first payment would have to start 30 days from the 19th, which is Tuesday, when we would need to sign the contract to lock in this rate there. So just wanted to make sure we understood the basics. Mr. Roos, gonna entertain this, but it's gonna have to be exceptionally quick because we've already moved on from discussion here.
Yes, sir. I just wanted to point out the original contract that is the 1080 a month. I'm sorry, is it 1180 a month? Is the is a contract that was not attached to the motion. Just want to make sure that should be the contract we should be voting on tonight.
So you're saying that the contract for 1180 is not the contract on the agenda, Mr. Roos?
This one is the higher tier, in case we wanted some extra contacts, for lack of a better explanation.
So the link in the agenda for the Nation Builder agreement that I'm been using and looking at here is, am I not looking at the correct one, sir? I'm a little confused on your statement here now.
I think it's the exact same terms and everything except for the amount monthly payment. If you see that on the first line item, and the number of contacts.
Okay, because I'm looking at the invoice date amount down on page, this is 1, 2, on page 3, underneath the payment schedule here, it says invoice date amount September 20th, 2023, and monthly recurring through term of 1180.
Never mind then. Just want to make sure that we're on the right contract. There had been a revision.
Okay. This is the contract that was attached to the motion and the one we've been discussing now for almost 30 minutes, Mr. Russo. If this is the incorrect contract, it's a little late to make this amendment now, unfortunately, but I'm just going to So we're just going to move along with this here, guys. I just wanted to go over the basics of this contract here so everybody knows what we're discussing. Since this is a very large amount, we are absolutely going to do this by a roll call vote here. I'm going to vote last, Mr. Appler, in for this, but when you're ready, sir, you can go ahead with that roll call vote.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Tim Crosby,
Abstain.
Edward Appler, I am voting aye. Patrick Gleisner,
I'm voting aye on the contract that is part of the motion.
thank you, sir. Hector Roos,
Yes.
Lee Carter,
Aye.
Matt Rice,
Yes.
Joey Ferguson,
Aye.
Leon Armstrong,
Yes.
Rachel Danner,
Abstain.
Matt Johnson,
Aye.
Greg Quinn,
Aye.
Dennis Missigoy,
Aye.
Adam Whitworth,
Aye.
Mike Rufo,
Aye.
John Paff,
Aye.
Kenna Cosma,
Aye.
Lisa Gansky,
Aye.
All right, Mr.
Oh, we have
Appler.
15 ayes and 2 abstains, Mr. Chair.
Well, I mean, my vote is of no substance of any sort here, it sounds like, but I'm going to vote aye as well. And with that, I am going to call that the ayes have it. And congratulations. We now have Nation Builder. Let's get that contract signed before the 19th, or let's actually get it signed on the 19th to max out that 30-day window there. And Mr. Roos, Mr. Johnson, I'm going to expect big things out of you guys with this Nation Builder app here. So let's make this happen. Mr. Johnson, when you get a chance, I'd absolutely like a little bit of a once over on it, because I'm absolutely going to want to utilize Nation Builder for my personal campaign as well for Florida House. So I'm going to want to know as much as possible on this program as well for credentialing too, because having to figure out all of our information is going to be fun. So congratulations once again. I think this is a big deal for us.
Just a heads up, there is enterprise level product training offered as part of this agreement. So just that is a huge plus.
Awesome. No, that's excellent there. I did see that. I wasn't sure, how much of that I'd be able to attend, but once again, guys, this is awesome. I think this is a big deal. I've spent my entirety in the LPF being told that Civi CRM was 2 to 3 weeks away from being a highly active, fully finalized site. So once again, congratulations, guys. This is going to be a big deal, I think, and hopefully this will help the LPF out immensely with our goals over the next couple years. But back on to orders of the day. We're back on to item number 13, which is notice that the next executive committee meeting will be held on October 15th, 2023. Item 14 on the agenda is announcements. So we'll give about 10 minutes for anybody on the EC who has any announcements to go ahead. Mr. Roos, you can go ahead first since your hand's up. Go. You have the floor, sir.
Sure. I wanted to just give a quick announcement that out of that a town hall or Zoom meeting on Zoom will be held for that I'll host for Mike Tremont, his campaign for the LP nomination on October 4th at 8 p.m. Just wanted you guys will see a little invite from me on that note. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Roos, on that there. There's also a candidate event up in Duval County on the 21st involving not only Mr. Termott, but Chase Oliver, Lars Mapstead, and I believe Joshua Smith as well there. So definitely mark that on your calendars, guys. And then on the 22nd, we're going to be doing an event involving Mike Termott and myself for my Florida House run there. So just a heads up on that. Got a couple hands up here. So in order I saw up was Mr. Crosby, Mr. Quinn, Mr. Leishner, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Roos has his hand up again. So we're just going to go in order there. Mr. Crosby, you get to go first. You have the floor, sir.
Yes. So you may have noticed that I have uncharacteristically abstained from that last vote. The reason for that is because I am moving out of the state. I have taken a job in Georgia. I'm currently in Georgia right now. My address has not changed yet, so I'm still a legal member of the LPF. However, by the end of the year, I should be fully moved out. Obviously, I will keep everybody updated as that goes. I have to sell my house first. If you know what the real estate market's like, you know that's going to take a couple months. I'm hoping we can stretch it out until the convention so that we can have an official transition at that time. But it may come a month or two before convention is officially started that we might have to deal with that scenario. I just want to say that I'm glad that Nation Builder passed. It is very costly and it's going to require a lot of effort from everybody. So my commitment to you guys is that I will help any way that I can, onboarding people to the new system, getting them trained, getting them set up, and dealing with all of that so that it can be as successful as possible. I did not feel that it was right that I vote in favor or against this. That's why I abstained. It's been a pleasure seeing all of you. I do plan to be at the convention regardless of my residential status. And obviously, you guys, I love a lot of you guys. I've known you all for so long now. We've been through so much shit together. We're not going to lose contact or anything like that, but I just wanted to make it known now so that preparations could be made. If a viable or suitable vice chair candidate can be determined before my residential status, then I'm happy to transition that as soon as possible so that you can get somebody in here doing the VC stuff. That's my announcement. Thanks, guys.
Well, I was hoping that we were going to have to hear that announcement a little later down the road, Tim, but appreciate what you've done. Worked very closely with you over the last almost 4 years now. So, I mean, never good we're losing members, especially to other lesser of the 49 states, but hopefully that you'll still stay active in LP Georgia, help them out there. And, you know, once again, I just want to say how much, you know, it's going to definitely be a loss for the LPF having you leave out of the state there. So that said, never would tell anybody not to do anything that wouldn't help benefit themselves or their family, personally, professionally. So, I mean, congratulations on, you know, the recent promotion. You know, I know that's going to be a big deal for you and help you out over the next couple of years. So, you know, once again, you know, full disclosure, probably in a couple, 5, 6, 7 years down the road, I'm going to be in that same boat too. So, you know, I appreciate the tact you've done, you know, moving through this all there. So now that I can stop sobbing over here, Mr. Quinn, you were next with your hand up. Go ahead, sir. You have the floor for announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For many of you who know me a little bit better, or those who don't, I am currently a student and I am now currently back in the swing of things. I just wanted to make it known that my availability has significantly decreased. Obviously, I can still make the meetings and whatnot, but outside of that, my time is going to be very limited. So that's my announcement.
Understood, Mr. Quinn. Just stay focused on what you need to, and you know, we'll be here for you. And once again, if you need an absence or something, just let me know in advance and I'll be happy to excuse it for you.
Appreciate it.
No problem, sir. Mr. Leisner, your hand was up next. Go ahead, sir. You have the floor for announcements.
Yeah, I just wanted to promote the convention. It's going to be in Duval and Jacksonville from January 19th to 21st. It's right across the river from downtown. I think it's a great venue. It's going to be awesome. We got a great local affiliate. We're going to have a presidential debate. We got some other great speakers booked. And just so everyone knows, packages and the hotel are both live. I'm still working on an update on the hotel link. Haven't heard back from the hotel yet over the weekend, so hopefully we'll get something tomorrow. But we should have everything up and ready to be purchased. We're going to have early bird specials running through 100 days out, which I believe is middle of October. So you have a few weeks for sure to book with the early bird prices. We also will be launching, if it hasn't launched already, the theme contest here any day. So if you have any theme ideas, be on the lookout for that. Should have an email sometime this week going out about it. Thanks.
Awesome, Pat. Thank you again. Appreciate that. It looks like Mr. Johnson is saying that the theme contest link is already live. So the last two rounds of the theme contest for the convention have been super interesting, guys. They've also been a huge moneymaker for us. So let's have some fun again this year. We've always had some interesting submissions come in from various sources in the LPF and outside the LPF. But yeah, always excited for the theme contest. There's always a lot of fun for everybody. Cross my fingers, we'll hear back from the hotel soon, so we're not having to have a bunch of us pay for full price for these rooms. But you know, even if that's the case, that's really awesome to hear. We've sold out our room block that quickly. If we didn't actually sell out our room block that quickly, guys, get your room, because it probably will sell out pretty quick this year. We've sold out the last 2 years in a row here. So yeah, keep on the lookout for the convention packages. Get your theme contest submission in, donate to your favorite theme. And, you know, once Pat gets the hotel situation figured out, book your rooms now so you're not having to worry about it later like me over here. All right. So thank you again, Pat. Appreciate your work on the convention committee. Mr. Johnson, you have the floor, sir. Go ahead. You're next for announcements.
Sure. Just real quick, I know it had already been mentioned, other presidential candidates and their stops. Be on the lookout somewhere between the 21st and the 23rd. There will also be one in Region 7 for Chase's campaign. So far, they're the only ones that have reached out to our affiliate, but they reached out. And so there's probably going to be something going on around that time frame, hopefully in Volusia.
Awesome. And just as a side note, and thank you, Matt, for jogging my my brain here. And it was something I left off my report too, so I do apologize, but had a really great 30-45 minute conversation with Lars Mapstead a couple days ago, involving his campaign and what he's looking to do. And one of the things he wanted me to bring up to everybody here was that he is running candidate training through his campaign. It's very similar to the Day of Learning campaign training that the LNC has done, which he's also sponsoring as the naming sponsor for this at the next national convention. So these are going to be online courses. There's going to be regional ones he's going to be hosting as well. I think it's great Lars is, taking money out of his own pocket to help out candidates and train them up and, get them ready to go. And speaking personally as a candidate myself, I'm always looking for anything that's going to help me get a leg up on there. So, definitely I'll send the link for that in a little bit in the Discord there, but keep an eye out, guys. We're going to probably have a lot of these LP POTUS candidates reaching out over the next couple of months, looking for any kind of events they can attend or, local meetings they can show up to. So, if you think it's a good opportunity for your affiliate or your region, definitely take advantage of that opportunity there. Thank you again, Mr. Johnson. Mr. Roos, I see your hands up. We'll let you finish out announcements here, it looks like.
Thank you. I just want to reiterate that the Chase Oliver campaign is traveling Florida during that time, all the way into the week after the 21st. In fact, Miami will be hosting him on the 23rd. He's going up to Tampa on the 24th. And I did want to make sure that there's a call out for volunteers. You know, someone who wants to be more involved. If you know high school students or even college students need credit, for volunteer hours, they can volunteer for political party, political campaigns to get that credit for either high school graduation or actually for college credit. If there's anybody has any questions about the college credit portion, you have to contact me because that involves some paperwork. But overall, looking forward to what's ahead. And thank you for your time, everybody.
Awesome. Thank you, Hector. I just want to close this out. I know I mentioned this already earlier here, but for those unaware, I have officially filed paperwork to run for Florida State House for District 105. It's a very small urban district down here in Broward County that encompasses essentially West Hollywood and East and Central Miramar City. So be on the lookout, guys. This might mean that my time and, focus may be a little divided between, being chairman for the LPF and being an LPF candidate for State House. But I've already gotten a lot of positive feedback. I'm going to hopefully be able to get a website generated probably by the first week of next month there. Just haven't had a chance to, get a lot of the little things that are just a little time consuming at the front end of the campaign done. So I'm looking to have a bank account set up by the end of next week, get my campaign website set up so that way I can start taking donations, start, collecting volunteer info for, I'm looking to qualify by petition. It's only going to really require 1,400 signatures in a district that had 43,000 voters in the last state house election. So, I mean, a lot of good things. There's some things I'm not really comfortable mentioning on the record here as well that are been pretty positive here. And, maybe we can discuss those offline after the meeting there. But, I'm really positive. I've gotten, like I said, gotten a lot of good feedback so far. And I'm really excited to represent everybody in the LPF out there for District 105 that's never had an LP candidate before. So, thank you in advance for everybody who, may support me. I welcome any criticisms or critiques, anything that's going to help me be a better candidate out there, guys. So if you hear anything coming out of my mouth that, you're not liking, that gives you heartburn, definitely, catch me offline. Let me know. I'd rather, have those discussions in private than get drug on Twitter like other LP candidates here, here and there in the past. So, once again, guys, I thank you again. I appreciate everybody's, encouragement in the past to run for office there. A lot of you guys and, your, once again, words of encouragement, kindness, really motivated me to step into this arena here. And I feel this is going to be a big year. So if anybody else is interested in running and, you're not 100% sure, reach out, let me know. We can discuss it, talk about it. What are your concerns? What are your questions? I'll be more than happy to, talk about my process getting here. But otherwise, guys, I kind of want to leave it that there. Hector, you got something real quick before we call it a night over here?
Yeah, just in case anyone doesn't have New Year's plans and is interested in joining Steve and Akela for New Year's, there is a tentative three-night event that he's putting together for the in Key Largo in that area. If you're interested, let me know. It's priced per couple, so let me know. Thanks.
Yeah, Hector, DM me the details on that. I appreciate it. Otherwise, guys, seeing that there is no one else looking to be recognized for announcements tonight here, we're going to wrap this up and get back to orders of the day here, which is the final item on our agenda, which is everybody's favorite agenda item, which is item 15, which is adjournment here. So
motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right. You guys are quick tonight. All right. So there was a motion to adjourn by Mr. Rufo. There was a second by Mr. Johnson. Is there any objection to adjournment on this meeting tonight, ladies and gentlemen?
I object on behalf of Mark Computer.
All right. Are there any substantial objections, ladies and gentlemen? All right. Hearing none, we can call this meeting adjourned. Thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you taking time out of your Sunday night. Got this wrapped up in an hour and a half.